Now this is a topic I like to talk about. This is World of Warcraft lore for dummies. The topic that I'm going to be talking about is one of the most nostalgic topics in all of WoW history. Now, I'm going to botch this lore a lot because I'm not going to read all that on Wikipedia ahead of time or right now. I'm just going to be going by the memory and what I read online about the lore. But, that's the thing. World of Warcraft is a game that's so deep with the lore. The lore is an aspect of the game that's often very much neglected. Have you ever thought and wondered while you played classic WoW, what is the origin of the Worgen? The Worgen are these werewolf like beasts that have these big claws and they wear the tabard that they wear and they look demonic like werewolves, but they're not, they're, pretty much that. So basically the warg, the name for warg, the big wolves, their appearance are actually based off dire wolves. Dire wolves were like these ancient wolves that actually existed in the real world. They were like these really, really big wolves that went extinct sometime after the Ice Age. So that's what wargs are based on. Now, the Worgen, they actually came into existence when a night elf tribe brought this staff, this very powerful staff, or you can call it a scepter. This staff was able to like summon the Worgen from another realm. And what were the Worgen's original purpose in WoW? Their original purpose were actually to be used by the Alliance to fight off the undead. Because where you see Prywood Village in WoW, when you play the Wrath of the Lich King patch, that's basically the Alliance's last stronghold, and the wizard place across from that place. So the undead were beating the Alliance all the way back to out of Silverpine Forest to Prywood Village and that wizard place. Those were the last two places that the Alliance had in Silverpine Forest. So the Worgen were used to combat the undead and to fight back against the undead. And that actually became their purpose in the next patch of Cataclysm. The Worgen actually became their own race, and you can play as them. So that sums that up. So just the lore to me was very fascinating. How this magical staff existed and summoned these wolves, these werewolves from another world. And you can probably guess who got their hands on the magical staff. It was Archmage Argul who got his hands on the magical staff, and he became mad with power, and he began to take over the entire Shadowfang keep, killing all who opposed him, and transforming his sons into Worgans. Though it might be another botch that I did of the lore. Those wolves might not even be his sons. They might just be Worgen that are very close to him, that he calls his quote unquote sons. So, that's the thing. People who don't really know about WoW only think that the game is just about clicking on monsters and killing them. The lore in the game is very deep. The professions are very deep, although the professions also most of them just have to do with clicking things. But there's deepness in how they're in the design, and there's a lot of deepness. One of the things that attracted me to playing old school World of Warcraft was just the deepness in the class designs and how the classes play all differently. The mage is a very detailed class that I love to play. I like to play paladin, but a lot less. The warrior is unique. So just the depth of the class and the combat and the maps really sucked me into the game. The maps in the game or designed in such a beautiful way that it immerses the player into the world and the lore, and everything flows so amazingly in the game, you know. But anyways, that's basically the entire lore of Shadowfang Keep. So what happened with the Night Elf tribe or whatever? I guess they kind of just handed him the staff because they entrusted Argul to push back the people at the Undercity and the Undead. And Argul just kind of took that trust and said, "Okay, I'm going to be in charge of things. I'm going to do whatever I want." So he took the scepter, became mad with power, commanded the Worgen to fight the Undead. And then when you get to like level 20 something, or you go to Shadowfang Keep and you defeat him basically. But, I just found the whole lore very interesting. And if you enjoyed the lore, obviously go on Wikipedia because it's going to be more accurate than how I'm telling you this. And there's more to the lore about Shadowfang Keep that you're not going to find on Wikipedia. You see, there are people who have done fan music projects. So if you're interested in musicology, like studying music, if you type in actually on YouTube World of Warcraft Redux Shadowfang Keep, you'll actually find old music of the old Shadowfang Keep and older patches of WoW that fans restored. And you can actually listen to how the old versions of Shadowfang Keep's music vary. There's a version of the music that you hear in Cataclysm. There's the Redux version 1. There's the Redux version 2. So you type in World of Warcraft Shadowfang Keep Redux music, and you'll see two different versions of the music. And the third version is just the regular version. And if you go on the channel that says World of Warcraft sound project, you'll actually see that the fans actually tried to build soundtracks for the different dungeons, and some of them sound beautiful and amazing. There was just such creativity back then poured into these games and into these into the digital realm, and that type of creativity you just don't see today. You know, and there's probably more with the lore about his sons, about how some of his sons are lost, and the last little bit of the lore, which is an obvious fact that you can know, is that Argul's magic was so powerful that it even spread out of Shadowfang Keep to Prywood Village, and at night the the villagers turn into wolves, which you can see in game, which is very obvious. So basically, what can be assumed by this is that the Alliance doesn't know what Argul is doing at all, because if they knew that he was turning humans into wolves, then they would put a stop to it. You know, so at this point of the game, Argul is actually acting independently from the Alliance and just attacking anyone who opposes him. So that's it for the lore. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, classic World of Warcraft. See you guys.